Siddharth Singh Rohet. It was a lovely experience riding out with you in your countryside. A very, I would say, quiet destination for any horse rider around the world. And what I can say is a quintessential part of any equestrian visiting Rajasthan. So congratulations on your setup.
Thank you. Pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. ISHEL is blessed to have people like you sharing their knowledge, and I think this session is one of those. Apart from the good ride out and the good setup that you have, I think what we need is to expand your understanding. I've seen you schooling the horse in front of me. I've seen people schooling their horses around the world, and I think without any hesitation I would say that there are people in India who do stuff at a global standard, and I've seen that today, right?
You're very kind with your words.
Congratulations on that as well. What we are aiming at as ISHEL is to introduce these Marwari horses, and you have some beautiful horses over here, into the equestrian sport.
Yes.
You have these beautiful horses which are a representation of the Marwari breed of India. ISHEL is striving to have these horses into the equestrian scene. These horses to be used for equestrian sport, right? So the first and the foremost thing is the knowledge that people need to have to work with these horses in order to get them to the next level, right?
Yes.
And compete with the other horse breeds around the world. What do you think is lacking when it comes to knowledge? Is it the spread of the knowledge? Because I see there is knowledge around. Is it the spread of the knowledge, or is it the way that we can connect to people and give that knowledge? What is
So,
lacking
yeah,
in
loaded question, Vimalji. No, firstly, thank you so much for your kind words. And basically, we are here as horse lovers, and we can only benefit by sharing our knowledge with each other.
Absolutely.
I learn from you, and whatever you take from here.
Absolutely.
And that's how it goes. I think that is the only way forward, especially now for the Marwari fraternity. It has become big in India. People are very proud of their horses. They are spending a lot of money on their horses. And yes, over the last 20 years, I've been part of the All India Marwari Horse Society from its inception, which was in 1999. And I have seen a huge resurgence in the breed. I have seen a huge improvement in the quality of the horse now. The Marwari 20 years ago and the Marwari today is a different animal.
Yeah,
And that boils down to knowledge of the breeders and owners. Of course, the society itself has had several seminars on educating breeders and owners on equine management, which has gone a long way in the improvement of the breed.
Okay.
But today, breeders are conscious. There is a lot of information available on the net. Breeders are going on the net, looking at this information, and they have managed to crack that aspect where the stables are lovely. They're giving paddocks for young ones to run around, and that has made a huge difference. So the bone development, the muscle tone, all that comes on the young foal, which was not there earlier. Earlier, the concept was very different in Marwari owners.
Right, yeah.
Oh no, we don't want to trouble it at all. हम तो पानी इधर पिलाते हैं.
Exactly.
That was the concept. So, whereas a horse needs to run, I mean, in the wild it makes movement 16 hours a day out of 24 hours. So, it needs open space for its mental well-being as well as its physical well-being. So, that the breeders are doing. But what is lacking is equitation.
Absolutely.
And sadly, there is very little knowledge on equitation. I'm an ardent equitation guy. I'm a scholar of equitation. For me, getting on a horse in the morning is my meditation.
Absolutely.
And for me to work with the horse and get results even if it's a little bit every day, is very, very satisfying.
Absolutely.
But, and you can only make it's an athlete.
Absolutely.
This animal is an athlete. God made him an athlete. He's there to run.
Right.
And we boast about, our history being written on its back and all of that. Well, you can't write history on its back unless he's an athlete. He needs to perform in the battlefield, which he did in the old days. He did extraordinary deeds on the battlefield.
Absolutely.
But today's horse, will he be able to do it? That is the question you have to ask.
I think it's the downgrading of the horse through their
Yeah,
past
so-
5 or 6 generations.
So sadly, people have not yet taken to equitation, to horsemanship, to riding, and correct riding. Because
Right.
bad riding can actually destroy an animal.
Absolutely.
So correct riding and making an animal into an athlete.
Right.
So only then, it's like you going to the gym.
Absolutely.
So if you go to the gym, you get your muscle tone. You become stronger, you become fitter.
Absolutely.
You're able to do things that you couldn't do 2 years ago,
Absolutely.
and which an ordinary man can't. So that's what this animal is all about, and we need to take the best out of him. So it is an old breed. Of course, today you are into sport.
Yeah.
Like all other sport, equestrian sport has also become very competitive. And there is, at the top level, very specialized breeding for different disciplines, with a lot of money being pumped into that, research and the breeding programs. So they are taking, they are breeding top animals for dressage, top animals for show jumping, and they have found their formulas from different breeds, mixing and matching and bringing the sport horse on the table. But that's the dilemma here. You want to keep the breed pure, and yet you want competition. So you have to go forward with the view that, yes, after a point there will be a limitation
Right.
for this animal. Because, you possibly cannot compete with an animal that's really, been bred for that purpose.
We really need to explore that boundaries,
right.
So,
So, for me, the Spanish horse, and Spain comes as a classic example. Their Iberian horse, the Spanish
Yeah.
horse. Now, what they have done with the Spanish horse, that should be our model.
especially the Lipizzaners.
The Lipizzaners, but also the
Iberians,
Andalusian.
Yeah. Andalusians, yeah. Absolutely.
Today, you have the Andalusian competing at the highest level in dressage, at the Grand Prix level.
Absolutely, yeah.
But apart from that, the Andalusian is just fantastic. He might not have the extension that is required, but he has a beautiful collection
Yeah.
that no other horse has.
Even
So
the height.
enjoy him for what he is, and
Absolutely.
they do their own show.
Absolutely.
And that's what we want to do with the
That's what
Marwari.
we want to do with the Marwari. You're absolutely right over there. So explore the boundaries and create a stage or an arena for these horses to compete, even if it is against each other.
So at the end of the day, it's a beautiful animal.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a very, very handsome animal. It's an old breed of the world, so it's a national treasure. We need to protect it.
Yeah.
And at the same time, showcase it in its best avatar.
Absolutely.
You showcase and highlight what this animal is really good at.
Absolutely.
So that should be our vision and way forward.
Absolutely.
And while on that journey, you throw him in competition with other horses. Why not?
Absolutely.
Go for it.
So, one of the things as a step towards getting these horses into equestrian is also to create an infrastructure and an environment.
Absolutely.
And that cannot be without the horsemen, the riders themselves.
Very true.
Rajasthan is teeming with some very light-handed riders, absolutely gem of riders. They are working all over the world. But we are not having those riders over here staying in Rajasthan with these horses because the arena is not there, the commercialization is not there, the revenue is not there. So we need to create that revenue. How important do you think is the club structure of various clubs coming up and
Anything,
Yeah.
anything that will promote riding and horsemanship. Anything that will make young kids into good riders is very welcome.
But how can we do that? What's the best way forward for especially the Marwari arena?
I think first and foremost, all the owners of the Marwari,
Uh-huh.
at least the younger generation,
Right.
the older generation, my age, most of them are too heavy and too
Well, if you
unfit
call that, if you call
to
yourself old.
to to ride, and I wouldn't even recommend they get on a horse at that age, and when they're old. Young people, lightweights, especially beginners, they
Right.
should start young.
Right.
I am of the view that, especially with riding, if you want to learn riding, start young.
Absolutely.
You are light. When you fall, you don't fall that hard. And the fear factor that kicks in when you're older will not be there when you're, when you're young. You can get back on
Right.
quite quickly. And more importantly, it is less painful for the horse.
Absolutely. Yeah.
A lighter rider getting on him and not being in sync with him is far less painful than an adult man getting on him and bouncing around on his back. He will be in excruciating pain by the end of the experience.
But
And
then-
then he will itself develop various habits.
But then the challenge over there is for young riders riding these horses, for example, where do they get the mentorship and the coaching?
Yeah.
How does that
Exactly.
reach
That is true. And there is a vacuum there in this country.
Okay.
There is a huge vacuum. We need to somehow fill that vacuum.
I think a strategy has to be developed
Yes,
over there.
yes. I mean, for whatever little that I am worth, I am happy to. I have told all these people who own horses. I said, your sons, your children, your daughters are riding. Why don't you send them with their horses here?
Absolutely.
Let them work with me for a
Yeah,
while.
absolutely. And someone like you.
But there is, I find that there is now. This again is. I find that there is a lack of interest. There is a total lack of interest in going in that direction.
Strange, yeah.
It
Okay.
is strange, but there is a complete, and also at some point, people who ride, somewhere the ego kicks in, and they don't want to take any instructions. They think they know.
Yeah, no, that's true, but that's more for the grown-ups. But however, that's a
Um,
very important point that you said. The interest is not there. But I think for the interest to be there, the question has to be answered as to what is in it for me. So if we don't create an environment where people can find a reason,
What is in it for me? If you're keeping Marwadis, that is the next step forward. You've got the Marwadi to a level. Now, if you want to take it to the Andalusian level or the Spanish level at the global arena, if you want this animal to be recognized globally, you need to sit on him.
but then my question is more towards a young rider who is starting to ride the horse.
That is the motivation and the incentive.
Incentive, that's
Because
correct, yeah.
because you are owners. Your father owns very expensive Marwadis.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you want to take that same animal to the next level,
Right.
and for this breed to be recognized globally as one of the really beautiful breeds of the world, then sit on him and ride.
Exactly.
Because without that, there is no global market. It's only in India where you have beauty contests. And I'm sick and tired of these beauty contests, frankly.
But I think the seniors like you, when you say the people who are kind of senior, not into competitive riding, I think it's a responsibility on them as well to create that environment for the young riders to come participate in an event and perhaps get a trophy, get a prize that encourages them for the next
Yes,
event.
yes.
And that's where the club structure comes into being as well. One club competing against the other.
Yeah. All that is very healthy.
And I think that's something that we need to look forward to as owners and kind of appreciators of the breed,
Yes.
because that's the
Yeah.
only way that the commercialization or the revenue generation
Yes.
can happen and people
Yeah.
can get motivated into
Quite right.
the thing.
Quite right. You're absolutely right. I mean, this is my appeal to all the young generation with Marwari horses, owners of Marwari horses. Get down to it. Really start. The other thing now, in today's world, is the internet.
Absolutely.
There is so much that you can learn.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, between you and me, in the lockdown, I have brushed up my riding through the internet.
Yeah. In the lockdown, ISHEL came into forefront.
So
That's very
there
true.
is so much information. Provided you want to learn, you want to, learn on, as they say, dharan karna,
And spend time on it.
spend time on it.
Yeah.
And these animals, especially the Marwari, is I've ridden thoroughbreds. Before that, I rode thoroughbreds all my life. Coming to the Marwari, it is a very sensitive horse.
Absolutely.
It is a very sensitive horse. It does not take abuse very well,
Right.
and people don't know how uh, totally unwittingly they abuse their horses.
Absolutely.
I mean, out of complete ignorance, they abuse their horses.
Especially the bit.
Just starting with the bit, and then this stupid concept of the head carriage.
Head carriage, yeah. Stargazers.
It completely makes my blood boil, because the head carriage has actually ruined a lot of very good horses. Constant head carriage. It's not a llama, it's a horse.
It extends the
And
backbone.
exactly, you're looking at the top line.
Exactly, yeah.
And here you are completely shortening the top line by putting the head up. So we want an extended top line,
I think it's the
which
lack
you
of
don't
knowledge.
see.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's the lack of knowledge.
And people just tugging at the rein for no reason,
Absolutely,
thinking
yeah.
that the animal will look good, putting his head up.
I've seen
Kissing
farmers.
spine.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen farmers who actually have their feeding bins on top,
Yeah.
so the horse can be used to keeping
Yeah.
the head like that.
Yeah.
And they said more.
So week back, I mean, where are you going?
Exactly.
People like that in India. I mean, the horsemanship in India of the old days was completely the reverse.
The reverse, absolutely.
You made a horse that went into battle,
Absolutely.
and you needed a very agile, supple horse.
Absolutely. You can't have a horse that's not agile and supple and win. I mean, it was a
And
question of life and death.
all this Reval today and whatever else is an escape route, if you ask me. These people don't know how to ride. A really suspended, great suspension in trot or a buoyant
Absolutely.
trot
Absolutely.
is uncomfortable for them. They can't sit
They can't
on
sit
the
with
trot.
me.
Reval is fantastic because you sit like that. But what it does to the horse is irreparable.
Most of the Reval riders also sit on the horse's kidneys.
They sit right there,
It's
near
right
the
there.
lumbosacral joint.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's such a
And that's the
painful
most sensitive part.
experience.
Yeah, most sensitive part.
But I think being positive about everything to come in future and a responsibility for people who have been in equitation and working for these horses, we need to be positive and start spreading that knowledge. The knowledge is existing. I think we need to reach the people.
We
in the
do
right
need to
way.
reach, but we also, again, an appeal. You need to have a receptive audience,
Absolutely.
know.
Absolutely.
and they need to really understand the importance of proper equitation or equestrian work. And only then will you be able to make your horse.
Absolutely. So, to end our conversation and to the people out there, there's a few appeals that Mr. Siddharth Rohet, a very knowledgeable horseman, has made, and I think we as horse lovers in India should understand that not the ego doesn't play a part in anything that we are doing. If we have to do for the horse, keep the egos aside and be ready to learn. I think that's what we can pass on to the young members of our family as well, young riders in our family. And at the end of the day, if you and me say that we need good for the horses, that's what we need to do. We need to learn and we need to exchange knowledge from the people who know what equitation is, how to take care of your horse, how to ride a horse, and how to take your horse forward into the equestrian arena, because that's only we can make a value proposition for our horses. So thank you so much for your
My
time.
pleasure.
It was lovely meeting you and spending time with you.
Pleasure, pleasure,
ISHL is thankful for your
And
time.
this is your first visit, and hopefully there'll be many more.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. We look forward. Thank you.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, that's good.
Chalo.